So hello from my side. First of all, apologies for being late. I was doing a bit of a real-time logistic error handling at home. My wife is a doctor, and she was working on a night shift. And you never know when the night shift kind of ends. So surprisingly, I had some real-time issues that I had to deal with in the morning. So I was late for that. Apologies, but I got here all good. And then. Thanks for the support. I just wanted to say that the second job of mine is a real-time logistics, furniture logistics operator, and the third one is actually a management consulting director, or the head of the management consulting unit in PwC in Estonia. So Erki Mägi is my name, and I will guide you now through the next session, which is the last one before the lunch. So it's going to be a bit tough, but I hope you can bear with me. As you may have sort of guessed a bit already when you were looking at the agenda for today, or when you look at the surroundings of where we currently are in terms of the setup, or the cozy slippers that many of you are currently wearing, today's event is not really about giving some specific detailed knowledge from the project. Everybody can read. All the materials are out there. They are available. And actually, each organization and each country has a bit of their own specifics that they actually want to dig into. So the reason, and the main reason why we brought everybody here today, is just as Sandra said in the morning, it's important to keep the momentum. It's important that we actually do stuff as a society. And in order to do stuff, we actually have to know people, and we have to get some ideas together. We have to get them flowing. And that is the main goal of today's event. And I truly hope that, aside from a bit of a theory and a bit of a sort of factual things that we kind of pulled together in this relatively long project, the next session is going to give you some new things, some new ideas, some sort of angles to look at things, so that after lunch, when we will have the brainstorming sessions in the split out groups, you already have a bit more material to work on and to spark the discussions. So I would like to invite to the stage with me 4 very interesting people that we have handpicked for the next session, which is going to be a panel discussion. And the panel discussion is going to go and talk around the digitalization and the real-time economy and the DG concept that you just heard, around how to make life of businesses easier. And then the 4 handpicked people that I'm going to ask on the stage are Sandra, Särav from the Ministry of Economics. Then we have Kalev Koppel from a company called STACC. They will introduce themselves in a bit of a. No, it's free seating, so it's all yours. Ralf-Martin from Tallinn University. Sorry, Shahab Anbarjafari. I always get that wrong, but I'm close enough, I hope. And then I will also sort of grab I'll grab that one. That kind of looks very, very special. So what we're going to do for the next roughly 45 minutes is we're going to go and explore a bit the topics around digitalization, the real-time economy, and as you will hear in a minute, the people that we have selected are quite from a different sort of background. So I hope that we will have some tough arguments and some, not really a fight, but maybe a bit of a sort of differences of opinion. If not, then well, that's also a good sign. So maybe first let's do a quick round of introduction. Let's start with Sandra from this side, and then we'll take it from here.
Thank you, and thank you for being handpicked. So as mentioned, my name is Sandra, Särav, and I come from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications. I have a very, very long title, so it's always taking people's breath away, but I learned to breathe through it. So I'm the Deputy Secretary General for Business and Consumer Environment in the Estonian Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications. It took me about a week to learn it. I had a sticky note on my desktop just to remind what my title was in English. But I've been in this role now for about a year. It's going to be a year on 4th of July, actually. So the entire America is celebrating my 1 year at the office. But both the real-time economy as well as the gateway for enterprises are two of the topics which I inherited in my portfolio. And since I joined, actually, the teams have been growing. We have been doing a lot of prioritization. But of course, I cannot take the glory for bringing these topics into the ministry. So thank you to my team who is sitting also here and who is making this all a possibility. And thank you to also the European Commission and the PwC for these reports, which have been immensely valuable, especially if we have to convince some other institutions or ministries why what we are doing is necessary. So we'll talk about this more, but I welcome you here to Estonia.
Thank you. Ralf, over to you.
Thanks also for inviting me here. I'm very happy to join it, and thanks for PwC and Ministry for organizing it. So I'm Ralf. I'm a smart city and digital governance researcher and innovator. I'm not trying to start with the titles just to make it a bit easier, but yeah, I've been working with the concept of digital governance already a decade from now. And then I have had this issue that by accident we received a lot of attention and funding to kickstart smart city operations in Estonia and in Finland as well. But actually, back when I was more focused and interested in real-time economy as such in 2014 and 15. So that was something really that was a key priority. And then I totally exited for some time from that. And then I'm very happy to see that somehow the concept is coming back, and it is so strongly and so vital as such, connecting different countries and the European Commission and companies and so on. So I'm very, very happy and honored to be here.
Thank you.
Hello. I'm representing STACC, data science company. We have done both R&D and commercial projects in the field of data science and data analytics since 2009. We have done also projects related to real-time economies, I suppose. We are working a lot with startup companies, helping them to build AI solutions. Also have been involved in many public procurements, helping to build next generation e-government. And I'm maybe here today representing the practical side of building this type of solutions. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
Yeah, and I'm Shahab. I'm from with PwC Finland. I'm a director and chief data scientist. I am having academic background. I've been full professor in University of Tartu in Estonia. I am co-founder of a startup, so I am very much connected to general ecosystem of Estonia. So I know the pain while we were solving this problem, that how we have to tackle. So I'm very happy to be here. And afterwards, while we do the networking, answer your questions that you might have. Thanks.
Thank you. And with regards to the questions, if anybody wants to sort of throw in their questions as we sort of do the discussion, feel free. Just a quick show of hands, and then we'll take it from there, because we don't really have a question and answer format, you know, among ourselves. It's more of a discussion based. So more than happy to engage you guys in this as well. But just to sort of start off, I'm personally, you know, I'm in my 40s already, so I'm getting a bit older, and let's say I'm a bit reluctant with sort of taking new things on board. So my first question would be, why are we even talking about this thing? Why bother? What happens if we don't, and we just sort of let it go and go with the flow with, like, normally? I don't know, Sandra, maybe you want to start.
The answer is easy. I mean, Estonia is such a compact country, which I like to say instead of tiny. We're very compact. We have only 1.3 million people. So if you start a company in Estonia, you never think about only servicing the Estonian clients. You think about expansion. You think about scaling up. So we're happy if they're starting the companies here in Estonia as opposed to starting them elsewhere, whether it's Europe, whether it's the US. So for us, the mission of me and my team is to build the best business environment in the world, because this is the only way we can keep the businesses here in Estonia. Because when it comes to servicing the citizens, countries can be lazy, and they are lazy. And I've said this many times, because for the citizens, your country is your only service provider, in the sense that unless the citizen moves, they have to obtain those services from their government. But if you're a business, you can choose in which countries to start your company. If it's not Estonia, Lithuania is doing amazing in fintech, maybe it's Lithuania. Finland has a lot of government support, maybe it's Finland. So for us, making the life as easy as possible for businesses is a crucial point in order to retain those businesses here. And from the other side, we're also quite a flat system within the public sector. My team, the things we are all doing here, I mean, we're just 30-something people, so this is not much. We're very flat, and we have to be efficient. So I say, people talk about e-Estonia, and I say the e-Estonia E is not for electronic, because this is such an outdated term. The E stands for efficiency, because we need to be efficient in what we do, just by virtue of the fact, because we're so compact. So for us, it's about surviving.
Okay, thanks.
So I also like to purchase and listen CD music, but for some reason it is not that easy anymore. So I think we are in the same complex situation that kids go to Spotify and they don't bother anymore about those older systems, which actually are very good, legit and reliable. But I think this is something that I like the question from Erki's side and from PW side as well, because we have a bit similar issue that we don't have maybe that radical innovation happening in terms of business accounting side, and then if you look like if you compare the music industry, for example, with the accounting industry, then it is so much more regulated and so much more protected. That means that people like Erki and to some extent myself as well, we are safe enough in being the comfort zone, because the IFRS is pre-digital. And we have made it collectively sure that you know, companies are doing those annual reports and are following the kind of a pre-digital logic. But sooner or later, we have to kind of move from CDs to Spotify, and there, what Estonia and what Finland and what Nordics in general has been good as well is that we are doing it a bit quicker. But at least we don't bother with bank checks, we don't bother with paper-based signatures, and we don't bother with pagers. Is another thing. That is literally the case. One of my affiliations this year is also at Stanford University, and there in the profile, this is still the case, that you're asked to put your pager number. I was Googling what it is.
Or fax number.
Or fax number as well. So this is the case that do we want to stay with fax numbers? And faxes is also a very nice business and very nice environment. So probably it's just the kind of a challenging innovation. And as Milana was saying, that we want to work smarter, we want to work less. We as a company owners or entrepreneurs or employees, we actually are lazy enough and cozy enough that we want to simplify things. And this is what the digital environment helps us. And I'm quite sure that in 10 years from now, it is much more real time compared to now.
Before we give it to Kalev, I have one remark. So you brought in the music industry. So we also do this, as I mentioned, we're small to become bigger. So Estonia has launched an idea called e-residency already back in 2014. And last week I was in Madrid. And there was a guy from Argentina who's a singer and songwriter living in Madrid who is an Estonian e-resident. So he's running his music industry company through Estonia, and he won the Latin Grammy. So I think this is what also makes Estonia bigger. We have the first Latin Grammy through an Estonian company being won, you know. This is not something any Estonian would achieve. So this is kind of cool.
Wow.
You have covered all my thoughts. Maybe then I need to reposition myself as a customer of your systems. And of course, most of the things related to the real-time economy, for the business owners, these are boring. All this accounting, we need to kill this routine so we can focus more on creativeness and where we move with the business. I don't like worry about where my business is going. Is there some risks I need to handle? I would like to have a tools environment where I can see it and I can see the threats ahead. I don't need to have my own to-do lists, but you are providing me the reminders, and it's all about competitiveness that in the global scale, but also in the comparing your closest competitors. If you are using these tools, you need to gain some efficiency. And if you are not, you are losing your business or you're out of the business even. And yeah, that's it. Maybe slightly different angle what you provided.
So I try to sum up. I mean, being in 40, you are still very young. Don't make us feel very old. This is correct. People feel very, very reluctant of adopting the new technology. But as Sandra said, our target is not the 1.3 million Estonian. The target is actually, we eventually die, right? So those younger people who are now maybe sitting in high school or elementary school, so the system is meant to be designed in that form. There are a few points that was being mentioned and was being ignored. Estonia, I mean, we are doing this in Estonia and it will be very successful as usual, because in Estonia we have a very strong infrastructure for digitalization. If you go to a country which doesn't have that infrastructure, even if you have the best 15 minutes and 30 seconds opening of a company, that will fail. 33 seconds a misery will fail because the rest of the ecosystem is not in place. So we have to always admit this missing fact. So and another thing is Kalev was mentioning regarding to creativeness is more important, and Sandra was talking about the Estonia, right? A residency is the efficiency. And I think creativeness is a big trouble in general. And within the real-time economy, what we tried to address was mostly the efficiency. You don't need to be creative. You need to be always more efficient. Of course, being efficient is creating its own creativity in here. And one final thing is that the world is evolving very fast, especially we have seen since 2017 onwards what the transformers in the AI is doing. And I don't know what is your background, but no matter what is your background, everybody has started to be hit by the term ChatGPT and how it has been changed. So now the systems that we are providing, by we I mean the government is providing to the entrepreneurs and so on, need to have these rapid updates, and it requires this constant overview. Otherwise, what will happen? The reminder that Kalev was mentioned that this is cool as a business person. I don't care about the accounting. The system will give me a reminder, but the whole ecosystem change and evolve very fast, and that reminder may not work unless that you have a more systematic approach in order to keep things very much updated. And I'm kind of connecting it to this DGE part that we were doing it.
Mm-hmm. What you mentioned about this sort of wanting to get the reminders and not really wanting to care about those sort of dull activities, isn't there also a risk in a sense that in Estonian there's a saying õpitud abitus? I don't even know how to put that.
Learned helplessness.
Yeah. Doesn't that sort of take us at some point to the place that we can't do anything. As you mentioned that we are sort of wireframe to the pre-digital, so we can actually do stuff. We can sort of, I don't know, chop up wood, for example, but maybe after 10, 20 years, we can't even think because everybody's sort of, everything is pre-thought for us. Do you see that as a risk?
I think what Kalev said is important here. So you don't even need to do. Why you should learn how to fill in your accounting reports. We're replacing those. Why you should learn to fill in your tax reports. Why should you hire a tax lawyer such as in Germany or the US when this can be automated for you? So you can focus on the content stuff of your company. You can build faster, you can develop, you can expand and so forth. So in this sense, this learned helplessness, I think it's a big issue, but it's not an issue in this case. I think rather the big problem is how much should governments innovate? And this is the question I've been recently hearing, because Estonia has the reputation of being, the most digitalized country in the world, which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the end goal cannot be just to be digital. So the end goal is, we're using blockchain. Korea wrote a book about Estonia, the first country fully in blockchain. And actually we have 6 registries that use blockchain in Estonia. But I mean, this is not even the important point. The important point is, why should governments innovate if not for the convenience of their businesses and citizens? But how much? How much do you expect the governments to build innovation as opposed to being seamless there for you? Or are being seamless and being innovative the same thing?
But there's also one more thing. The question is that should we be generalist or a specialist? And I think that we are walking towards being generalist. Let's walk back to the history, I don't know how many 1,000 years ago, with the doctors. That there was a guy who was good in medicine and he was curing everyone from heart attack till side issue until broken bones. And then one person started to say that, no, I will keep focusing only on broken bones, and he became an orthoped. And then with Hypoply, there was a guy who was sitting and said that, wouldn't you lose some customers who have eye problem? And I think that the important thing is that actually walking towards this specialization, it's not a risk, and it's creating more opportunity, because he doesn't care about this accounting stuff. That's why that we have the auditing companies coming out to help him and cover it and so on. One final thing regarding to one dangerous step you mentioned is that how much the government will own and control all of these digitalizations and so on. I mean,
and data.
And data. Estonian government is the coolest by far, but what about the other ones?
Sorry, I need to correct you. I care a lot about accounting. And it wasn't my point. My point was that you should automate what you can automate, but it doesn't release you for responsibility and understanding your business. And if you could automate the routine stuff and make easier for the business owners or entrepreneurs to interpret the results, this is the thing I'm talking about. Not releasing anybody from responsibility to understand your business, be responsible of your business activities. If it go there, it will be the evil utopia, I think, and we shouldn't go there. And I think it's not ambition here.
But I think, like in any case, like going out as an entrepreneur, as a person in whatever format from your comfort zone is painful. So anyway, this is something that we know. And then the challenge is that radical innovation, if we are talking about what we wanted to have real-time economy next year, which is technically possible, legally possible, it's just a kind of a collective decision that would be extremely painful for very many people. And that is something that really pushes people out from their comfort zone, and this is the same with a logic that but the challenge there is that we never know how painful it is if you do nothing. Like if you think yourself back as a taxi driver 10 years ago, that you were thinking that, you know, I have a safe role, I know how to drive a car, I know how to do it. And then you had at some time in Estonia 5 different applications like ruining in your life, and you really needed to understand how to do a business in a new kind of this Kiisu-less environment that there used to be with telephone operators.
This doesn't translate.
Yeah. It's like whatever. It's like a local joke. But this is a big issue, and this is something we are already seeing in the cross-border setup, because nowadays technology-based, AI-based ideas, they are not for the local country. You know, if you are now want to become a taxi driver, only as a taxi driver, yes, you can do it locally as well, but actually you are very mobile. You can move from one country to another one because it's only one application, Uber or Bolt on Uber, but you need to know, and you can be a taxi driver everywhere globally very easily. But still you are localized. But if it's anything technology based, anything more ambitious, very quickly it scales up conceptually from Türi to Tartu to Tallinn to Helsinki to Stockholm to London and so on. And that means that there are so many artificial barriers for those people actually working in this cross-border setup. And this is the kind of reality of a kind of dual economy to some extent as well. But if you're very localized, you have a local business here, it affects you a bit less, and that you can stay more in the comfort zone. But as soon as you go outside from the comfort zone, it's quite painful. Yeah.
But I mean, one important thing is that this radical change is needed. And changing of comfort zone means that you are progressing. The moment that we are in the comfort zone, this is very bad. You have to go for election and change the government because no change happens. And radical change, especially as you said that this now it's become cross-border, cross-country and so on, is again, AI change has shown it doesn't ask you your opinion. It's coming, you either accept it or you will be one of the people who will be affected negatively by those radical changes. And again, living in Estonia for this is my 11th years, I see that governmental wise, we are quite rapid in adopting the changes and so on. We are very slow, but compared with, let's say, Germany, we are like Ferrari.
But I think this is a good point that we as a government in Estonia are sort of rapidly changing and rapidly reacting to the changes. But how do we know which way to run? Because the real-time economy, it's not a software. It's a concept. It's a platform. You know, within that platform, we can go pretty much 360 degrees in any direction. So how do we even know what is actually needed for the entrepreneurs, and how do we make sure that we do what is relevant for them rather than just waste time and taxpayers' money?
I think the consultants are helping, but his history will show eventually what was the right one. Sandra wants to say.
Yeah, no, it's communication. Exactly. Like in any regular relationship and with work relationship and government, citizen government business relationship, the worst thing you can do is assume. Like absolutely assuming something brings you zero results. And I think we have answers from your reports. When it comes to the gateway for enterprises, it said that during the questionnaire, 76% of the companies said that we want to be able to have the life cycle of processes available in one single point of contact. So this is your answer. If 76% say this is what they want, this is what we're going to have to do as a government. When it comes to real-time economy and all of this reporting, and this is a number we've so overused already, but it's just mind-blowing to me that even in Estonia, we have 420 different reports with 60,000 data fields, and 90% of this is duplicated. And in Estonia, this is duplicated. And so we have to listen to what the companies want. I mean, we have to listen to Kalev, we have to listen to whichever company we can reach out to. We have to have constructive discussions. Just after we're going to leave here, we're going to go meet a bunch of entrepreneurs because we're launching the M-Riik app. So the M-State app, which by the way, we're copy-pasting from Ukraine, because also in Estonia, we're not afraid to copy-paste something if it works elsewhere. So we're meeting with entrepreneurs to see how they would like to use the app. So we're going to ask them, if you need this for authentication, verification of customers, are you going to use it this way? Or does this mean millions of dollars worth of developments for you? In which case we need to re-angle this thing a bit. So communication is the key, I believe. I mean, we cannot assume.
Mm-hmm. So Kalev, maybe asking from your side, so how good is Estonia currently about this asking and really sort of trying to find out what is relevant and necessary?
I'm satisfied, but I have another thought regarding this. With private companies, it's much easier to cooperate because there is some enlightened monarch, some visionary product owner who knows everything about this very product and how this product should be built or what are the goals of this product for my business. And it's always very tricky to cooperate with government or public sector because very often there is none such person in their team. It's and we as a service provider, for us it's and very often we don't feel that there are anybody who really cares about it, like in the way that the business owner is doing. And I think Estonia's success stories like e-residency and I think the early phase of e-government, there was such visionaries like the real product owners who really cared about where we are going. And now the question is how to find these people within these organizations, public sector organizations, how to build this knowledge, how to build this kind of a strong leadership and visionary thinking. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges actually to carry on this innovation we are now pushing and you are pushing via this project.
Mm-hmm. But maybe this is sort of the way forward for the future, that instead of sort of a pull from the sort of government or buyer side, maybe there should be a push from the private sector side to actually go and start doing something and offering.
Should be both of them. Pull and push should exist. If we rely only on one thing, is that let's say in Estonia, I don't know, let's take cybersecurity. Let's say cybersecurity is the only important thing, and if we are waiting only for the push from the industry, what will happen? We are killing the other verticals because there will be huge push only towards the, let's say, cybersecurity, and we will never have a very cool biotech company coming out of Estonia and so on. If the government do the pull, again, I mean, how much trust do we have on the knowledge and expertise of the government? I love all the people who are in the government, don't get me wrong, but they change. Then the next person comes. Ralf's expertise is something, somebody who works in line of Ralf can have different point of view. And if an expert change, then many things of this pooling can change. I believe both of them should be there in order to keep things in a very healthy form.
And you need to have those people who can push, in the sense that, as you also wrote down in your report, 95% of Estonian companies have 10 or less employees. So it means that in a company of 3, you do various different roles and you don't have the time or the resource to go and push the government. When I was working at Bolt, we had a 4-team legal team when I joined, and when I left it was 40. And now some of the Estonian startup founders joke that Bolt is the biggest law office in Estonia because they have so many legal experts there because they need to expand. They have so many different product regulations. So is it reasonable actually for companies to grow as fast in order to be able to comply with all those requirements or to be able to push the government? So as you said, I think both sides are necessary. And for instance, we've done a lot of government hackathons, but I think the government hackathons problem was that we took something that was wrong with the police and then we asked the private sector to come and hack the problem. What we should do is a hackathon in the sense that the government says, please, private sector, tell us what's the biggest issue you have with the government, whether it's reporting, whether it's A, B, or C, and then we hack this system together. So we don't hack the system that the public sector thinks they has, but we hack the system that the private sector thinks that the public sector has. So in this way, it would be dragging both feet at the same time.
But doesn't this this approach sort of get us to the macroeconomical concept of public good? You mentioned that the sort of majority of Estonian companies are like 3 people. So they, you know, if I'm a manager or owner of a company with 3 people, I kind of feel that I'm one of 100,000. So, you know, why should I be the one who's going and sort of saying to the state that we should maybe fix something?
And maybe
how
you don't
to actually
even care. Maybe you don't even. When I was running for this role, I asked series of different entrepreneurs, from a gym owner to a coffee place owner to like a startup founder to what else. Where do you think the government should support you? And one of the most successful cafeterias in Estonia, the owner said, "I don't even care about the government. I mean, I run my business and I don't even need their help. So I think the help is specifically for the things such as innovation. So those who do more innovative things. In Estonia, every 10th person has a company. On the islands, every 3rd person has a company, because this is how they are self-employed. This is how they run their daily lives. There are no jobs to be had, so they create their own jobs. And perhaps those people even don't care so much about doing innovative stuff and pushing the government. And this, I think, comes from the technology sector, from the new and innovative sectors.
But some do. I mean, it's a mixture. Some people don't care, some people do care. Some people don't care. I know a few, because although the company is registered in Estonia, they're an Estonian company run by Estonian people, but their market is completely out of Estonia. So they literally don't care. Again, not in a negative form, because any change would not have an impact on them with their business. There are companies in Estonia, registered in Estonia, but not run by Estonians, and they don't care, because they are using the Estonia as a proxy for the funds and so on and so forth. So, but there are still people who care. I care personally. I mean, and I know many other people who you have talked to, and they also care.
I think there's like a very big difference from a company's perspective as well. But one type of companies are that are just very easily set up to the local legislative framework, and from their perspective, they want to do business as easy as possible. So they don't, like as said, that those small companies, from taxi drivers to landscape architects, they really don't want to know how to do reporting, how to do accounting, and this is like the legacy thing, that does it really make sense to do the debit and credit as a landscape architect, for example, or do you just need like a very easy, trusted framework how to do very simple business transactions? Because these businesses are very simple, they do very simple business transactions, and then once a year we have this nightmare with accounting, and this is the reality from their perspective. But on the other hand, there are a lot of companies and a lot of business models where this regulation is a core as well. And also, like from a kind of a government perspective, and especially tax authority perspective, have to understand that not all companies actually want to follow all the rules, but there are very many companies, especially the new ones, that pen the rules and are creating the rules. And in that setup, very often we can fail with what kind of framework we're providing to the companies, because their business model is something else. And this always keeps like that, because it's a competitive environment, and you need to win from a regulatory part as well. And this is why Bolt has this big legal team, for example, but it is just like to stay in the competitive market, and you cannot grow the company like Bolt or the company like Skype that went into the Microsoft and so on, with allowing and checking all the government rules one by one. It is impossible. So you have to take the risk, you have to bend them. And that being said, is that for these companies and this kind of ambitious ones, they are nudging and changing the environment a lot. But I'm actually coming back to one of my neighbors from a nudging perspective as well. That Tabani was from tax authority that asked me that why he couldn't get the e-receipt when he came to Tallinn, and this is also like first of all, I like that he represents the tax authority of Finland, because it's a strong point, but this is also like how much do we focus on those kind of small things as well, that our private life matters. And I totally agree as well that if you're a small company owner or entrepreneur, you don't have very good means to nudge the government kind of formally, but still there are some kind of steps you can do, and it's pull and push at the same time, I think. Yeah.
It depends on the background of the person, of course, but there are a few things that we have to also learn. So if I say something very stupid, it means it's my lack of knowledge. Sorry for that. So the thing is that in the US, I know that the governments talk and consult with the successful business owners within US who are operating out of the US. We have seen like Donald Trump created a very successful one, from Apple, Twitter, and every places they were sitting. And I think this is something that in Estonia we have to do it, or if we are not doing it, and if we do it, we have to make it bigger, to take into account the opinion and thoughts of successful businessmen who are Estonian companies which are operating out of Estonia, and the ones who are even operating in Estonia, because they are the people who know better than many of the legal people all the pains and glorious points of different systems. You gave the example of Bolt, you're promoting Bolt, you know. So, and in there, they have lots of legal team because they're operating in different countries, and they know lots of good things and bad things about every single country, which we can learn from it. Because one way of learning is to go to that government, listen to hours of presentation. The other one is that the first-hand knowledge of those type of people. Imagine you gave the example of Skype, yeah, like young Tallinn baby, cooperated, huge amount of knowledge, and we have young Tallinn-style people a lot within Estonia, and we can be a good example for the world, yeah.
To please you, I can say we met with Jan Tallinn 1 month ago to discuss AI regulation, and we are doing this continuous roundtables on a regular basis between the IT minister and prime minister and the private sector, especially those startup founders and so forth. I'm in communication, my team is in communication with them on a daily basis, but I think the problem is also it's the bigger ones who shine out. So they are the ones who can also talk about their problems, discuss their problems more because they have more of those resources. And the smaller ones, they don't have the resources, and us as government don't have the resources to listen to every of the 140,000 active companies in Estonia. So we need to also make this process more efficient. And I think it's a great quest to have. How can we interact with the private sector more efficiently? And this is something we're trying to break, exactly. To figure out.
This is definitely a topic that we're going to have a discussion on with all of you after lunch as well, because this is a $1 million question. We don't know the answer.
A billion.
Or a billion.
Unicorn question.
Exactly. But we hope you do. So you can also chip in your 2 cents in this. Looking at time, we're getting closer to the lunch break. But maybe going into a bit of a dreaming mode. I'm not sure how many of you are fishermen, but I'm pretty sure that you have all heard the story of a fisherman catching the golden fish, and then the golden fish says that, well, if you release me back to the whatever, then I grant you 3 wishes. We have 4 people here, so we can't do 3 wishes, but sort of hard times in the economy. Let's say that you only have 1 wish from the golden fish. In terms of the real-time economy sort of development and sort of the digitalization of the world, and there's no boundaries whatsoever, no resource constraints, no knowledge constraints, no ethical barriers, nothing. What would that world look like? What solution, what type of thing you would want to get from that fish? Who wants to go first?
Unfortunately for me, it's very easy. It's money. I know it's an awfully boring answer, but unfortunately, I mean, we had more money in the public sector, we could attract more talent, we could do more developments, we could, just do the philosophical aspects of figuring out what we need to do more. Just money is the mother of all resources in the public sector, unfortunately. So it's a boring answer.
Not only public sectors.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's say now you have the money. What would you do with the money?
I wasn't supposed to have 2. Okay, let someone else answer.
Yep, and then we'll come back.
Okay, I can try as well. I think, and following the previous discussion as well, when very important point would be like to provide some kind of trust-based mechanism for companies, entrepreneurs to be a good entrepreneur, good company. Because to be honest, most of entrepreneurs, most of SMEs exactly, they are in some kind of guilty situation most of the time. They don't know if they do all the taxes right. They don't know if they do all the accounting right. They think they are doing, and sometimes you need to do some shortcuts as well. Everybody's doing it from a SME's perspective. And then maybe we can provide some kind of framework that hey, this is the trusted environment. We trust you, and we allow you to do those kind of small tricks without the system as well. So this is something that I would say that I agree that money is important, but maybe the second part, and then what is money? Money is also trust. maybe the second thing is when trust between the kind of community, but between the different countries as well, what we have here. But if we have trust among the companies, if we have trust among companies and governments, we can do very, very big things.
And print more money.
And we can print more money, however we prefer. But exactly, but I would say that this would be, and technically it is not that complicated. You just need to connect bank account data with accounting data, and then do automatic reporting as well. So from technical perspective, going to a real-time economy tomorrow, it is something we can model. But the only issue is that we have this kind of current economy model as well, current infrastructure, current kind of legacy, but no way goes away without the painful process.
I also try to skip describing the technological paradise where I should not think about boring economic operations. I would rather dream about environment where the public sector institutions really have smart and visionary leaders. And I also thought that when you were talking that very often innovation is somehow defined by technology which is used, for example, AI. And that makes me sad always, because if you have this, if I have a microphone, I can talk. If I have a hammer, I see only the nails. And very often these hackathons also kind of starting from the very good use AI or machine learning. And then you're already narrowed your vision of thinking about creative solutions. And I think these hackathons could be improved by bringing in more interdisciplinary or different people from the different background, like lawyers, academic researchers, entrepreneurs, and maybe, but it's a secondary already, also the technological guys who can then estimate is the machine learning, for instance, the best tool for that. But it's opposite. It has been always opposite. So far I've seen. I've been also participated on these hackathons many times. Yeah, my 5 cents here.
Yeah. Okay. So I have only one wish, but before I tell the wish, you wish for money. I'm coming from a Jewish background, so you can always ask about money from me. So what about if your wish comes with lots of corruption, so you get lots of money?
It's a good question, because currently Estonia is the...
You finish your wish.
Okay.
You said good use. What is the definition of good? Is it what you define good to be good? You know, you have to be always careful about what you're wishing. And the same with the good use. So my wish is this: utilization of responsible AI, which is targeting explainability, trustworthiness, and ESG topics in use of automation in all governmental and private systems would be my wish to this golden fish.
This sounds like a fairly solid vision for the future.
I have to thank everybody to help me to complete it. So.
But it's AI driven, which I think Kalev just said a few moments ago. Why start?
Starting from the technology. Maybe.
Start from the end goal.
My wish. My wish.
I accept it.
Okay, I figured out what my second wish is, and actually a third one as well. So you can have all of the money you want in the world, but if you don't have the mindset to change, it's not going to happen. So the second wish is the proper mindset, because we do have some excellent ideas for projects in the public sector, and then you go to someone and they say no, not possible. You know, like at home, wife says no. Then in the government, you know, minister says no. And luckily, we have a good minister right now, so I think this is a check mark. And my third wish is a new neighbor.
I would also like to point out something that I heard from opening speech by European Commission representative that you know we actually like. One thing is money, but another thing is also time, working smarter. And then we have starting from kind of moving from starting from industrial revolution, like operations have become so much more effective and efficient, but at the same time we still work at least 8 hours a day, and then like I hope that at some point we start using this efficiency gains to work less, and then or to have more creative time. But is it one day a week? Is it 2 days a week? But you know that is your own time, whether you want to work, whether you want to read, whether you want to run, whatever you want to do. But allow that as well, because we have seen that going up like all the time. But we don't need to work for food anymore. We don't need to work for kind of industry as such. So it's a service economy. But still we go to offices and still we work more than 8 hours, and then maybe at some point we can actually revolutionize that as well and give people time.
But I mean, the concept of money is very correct. And the reason I didn't bring the money, because I think in part of the wish was you have unlimited amount of money and an unlimited amount of time. But I think money is always the solution. This is my belief. I am very materialistic. And if there is something that the money doesn't solve, definitely more money will solve it. So this is the... even including a neighbor problem.
I think there's a comment or question from the audience. Yeah.
So it seems like everyone would like more money, but how do you see the role of the government and the private sector when it comes to creating these digital solutions, to making it easier to be a company or business?
I can talk on behalf of a person who has a private sector in Estonia, and I can see that the contribution, or at least how government is helping. How many seconds? 15 minutes, 33 seconds? Yes. Is you establish a company, and many of the companies, even if it is one-person company, pays taxes. Everything is based on e-government, well regulated. So it helps the money to kind of circulate nicely within the whole ecosystem. Talking about the startups, I think Baltic region, and when I say Baltic, Estonia is way ahead of the other ones based on the statistics in latitude 59 that we saw. And the thing is that lots of those money comes and lots of talents get hired. Lots of talents from different countries comes in here. I'm not talking about that how much tax they will pay while they are living, but they are start to generate more money, which some of them definitely goes to the government for the governmental purposes. So I can see that the private sector is definitely helping a lot. And having this digital gateway and real-time economy, it's easy for everyone to do this accounting or tax declaration and so on. Help and make here to be very sweet spot to pour more money so you can operate easily in line of that. But I think regarding to government, you are the only right person, or you are the only right person.
Just one quick remark here. I don't believe that the only thing we need is money. I maybe believe that we need a desire for money. And these are two different things, because when we met sometime a person responsible for digitalization in Finland, and he stated it twice in a meeting and publicly as well, that if asked that why Finland is not that much advanced in e-government compared to Estonia back then, and he was saying that we have only one problem: we have too much money. And to some extent this is true as well. With too much, so if you don't have this desire and you don't have this effectiveness and you don't have this creative environment, you can have a lot of money. And we know from a public sector side as well that you can run a new program with like 60 million euros starting now. But from a public sector side, there's even this mentioning that need somebody to absorb it. This is the same with EU funding at the moment, that we don't absorb it. So it's not a question of money, but it's a question of desire for that, and also the flexibility of funding as well.
On this note, we have to cut the strings. I hope that you got some. One last question, and then we'll have the very five more minutes before we break for lunch. I hope you got some ideas. I hope you got some sort of emotions coming up where you actually agreed with the participants, but also places where you didn't agree. And that's where we actually want to become to because after lunch we're going to have a bit of an argument and discussion among ourselves. But there was a last question from here.
It's actually not a question. because 2-3 weeks ago we published a Eurobarometer. We surveyed almost 26,000 people in Europe, and actually Estonia comes very, very high on among the interviewed people in terms of perception of the public services and digitalization, and in terms of how the public services are perceived. If they're slow, it's like 2 times less than in the rest of the average for Europe. So, or 2 times faster, if you wish. This is at least the perception of people. And also among the list of priorities that interviewees entered as most important for them, they put digitalization on the last place. So this is good, but it's also food for thought.
Absolutely. Perception is everything, and I'm glad that Estonian people knew how to answer the questionnaire, so we stand out in a positive way. Okay, but thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing the comments and ideas. And we have, I think, 5 more minutes before we actually release for lunch. And so thank you. We can wrap up the panel, and I'll give the floor to Alexandra for a few words before. Oh,
thank you.
Of course.
My hands are full of chocolates and my heart is full of gratitude. It was very vibrant, very lively discussion. Hope that we will keep that pace throughout our day. Thank you.
Super. Thank you.